Cricket on the brain 24/7, 365? Well, every Monday, Corbin Middlemass and ex-Test opener Ed Cowan join forces on the ABC Cricket Podcast.
And I watch him bat and I think, it's like Brian Lara on steroids.
Featuring the best analysis and biggest results.
We're not better off trying to blood someone else in a series like this.
And the stories that have your cricket thread popping off.
So if I'm buying the Renegades, why would I want to purchase that?
ABC Cricket Podcast, every Monday on ABC Listen or wherever you get your podcasts. Because there's no off-season in cricket.
ABC Listen. Podcasts, radio, news, music and more.
At the end of the day, you got to let these people talk, and it was the same with these lot here. They came, they did their talking, but they couldn't back it on the field, and we got the win at the end of the day. And people can talk all they want, but if they're not going to put a performance out there on the pitch, then there's no point in talking.
Nestory Irankunda. Can you get enough of the Socceroos? Me neither. Turkey captain, the US media, they've talked the talk. Irankunda and the Socceroos, they're walking the walk. And a day on from a mind-bending, endorphin-releasing, dopamine-flooding victory, we're going back for more. More reaction, more context, more extra. I'm Patrick Stack. This is ABC Sport Daily World Cup Special. Vince Rugari is the chief football writer with the Sydney Morning Herald. He's landed back in San Francisco after a heck of a night in Vancouver. Vince, is that the best Socceroos win you've ever seen in person? How good was that?
It's a good question. I haven't, as far as World Cup wins, I haven't seen that many. That's number 3 for me, because I've only been to one World Cup before that. And the last 2 in Qatar, I don't think you could say that there was more control last night in terms of when the Socceroos scored, I just didn't feel like they were going to lose it or that they weren't really troubled at all. It felt like they were very comfortable with the state of the game, the way that Turkey were attacking. So many of their attacks, their balls forward were breaking down and not finding targets, and it just felt like they don't know what to do to break down this back 5, which was a different feeling for a Socceroos game for sure. That's new and exciting, rather than just hanging on, but it was a little bit more measured than just they were lucky or anything like that,
Australian football identity, I feel like intrinsic to it is proving people wrong. Mark Schwarzer reiterated that on this show last night. So I just wanted to ask, how did it feel being the guy asking the question of Turkey and their captain, who said they would dominate, but they didn't? Talk me through that interaction post-game.
Yeah, that was funny. 2 players from each team come out before the rest of the players file through the mix zone. It's very soon after full time or close to, and I was waiting for the Aussie players to come through, and then I saw that he was up just around there, so I just walked over and asked for the microphone and if he'd answer a question in English. You said yesterday that Turkey had a more talented team, that you would dominate this match. What went wrong for you, and were you surprised by Australia's performance and talent?
We dominated.
No, I think you did on possession, sure.
I'm not at the same. I don't think they did the same like you. Because everyone said that we dominate today. Australia was just behind and defending good.
Maybe there's a difference in how you perceive dominance on a football pitch to be. Some people think because Turkey had a lot of the ball and more shots than Australia that they were dominant. I don't think that. If you're dominant, you're making the other team sweat more. And I know that Paddy Beach made 8 saves, which is more than any other Australian goalkeeper ever has at a World Cup.
Yilmaz, it's deflected, and the shot straight. And Patrick Beach by Ardagula, that was a wonderful opportunity for Turkey.
But it's not like he was, bailing Australia out time and time again. Turkey just weren't generating that many clear-cut chances. So for me, the idea that they should have scored or should have won doesn't hold up. So, sorry, I can't.
Nestory Irankunda, he kind of gave voice in the aftermath in the mix zone to that sort of nobody rates a siege mentality.
Obviously that gave us fire in our belly, and it obviously did piss off a few boys, but at the end of the day, these guys can talk all their shit, so we don't really care.
I thought it was pretty interesting to see the way that he spoke about this lot talking, and I think the implication was around the United States as well, because people like US rage baiter Mike Grella are doubling, tripling down.
I think their best player is Irankunda. Irankunda. I mean, with all due respect, because I don't like to talk bad about players. I'm actually a fan of Irankunda. We cover the championship here at CBS. Irankunda.
Do you get a sense that this is just fuel for this group, that they are embracing it, even though they've been quite circumspect in some ways? There's an edge to it, it feels like.
This is just our Australian sporting tradition. I told that to Alexi Lalas actually a few weeks ago. We love this. This is something we've had to deal with for forever. You go back to 05 and Uruguay and Alvaro Recoba talking about, I don't think he meant it, but that, Uruguay's divine right to be at the World Cup. That rhymes a little bit with what the Turkish captain said, and the idea that because you're Australia, because the game is not the main sport in your country, that you don't deserve to be there, or that if you are there, then you're just there to make up the number so that the adults can have their fun later in the tournament, basically. So where the players are used to it and tired of it a little bit, they're not going to bite back. Seems pretty obvious to say that they're under strict instructions from Tony Popovich to not provide any fuel for the opposition. But yeah, I think that just points a little bit, Nestor's comments, to what they think about everyone else. And I'd be frustrated too if I was a Socceroos player, because it seems to me like a lot of the analysis of this team from pundits from overseas, and even for sure America to some degree as well, is on old stereotypes and old ideas that relate to the Socceroos, not this current team, which is more dynamic and more multifaceted and more resilient than sort of the Socceroos that many people probably picture in their heads, I'd say.
Talk to me about Connor Metcalfe, because he has been in and out of his team in the Bundesliga, and we wondered how fit he might be as a consequence. To see him score an all-time Socceroos goal, what should we appreciate about this 26-year-old?
Good player, highly rated by his teammates as well. More so, it seems like the players appreciate what Connor Metcalfe brings to the team a lot more than the fans do. He's not really top of anyone's sort of Socceroos favourites list, but he's a really effective player, probably a beneficiary a little bit of what Tony Popovich did with this World Cup preparation and having a lengthy pre-camp in Florida. It means that even though he hasn't had a lot of match time recently, he's been able to be brought up to the level that Popper thinks is required to perform at the World Cup. He's possibly, you could say, suggest a beneficiary in a way of Riley McGree's injury, because I feel like he's performing a sort of Riley McGree role as that sort of that creative link man in the front third. So even though Riley McGree's around, I think he was at the game last night in a supporters capacity, which is good. But seems to me like Connor Metcalfe sort of slotted right in there. And yeah, fantastic. We talk about the frustrations that the Socceroos feel about being underestimated by everyone else. And there was a press conference before the game in San Diego, and he just probably went about 3 to 4 minutes longer than it should have, to be honest. And I think part of Connor's frustrations was that he was still on at this table in front of the media, and then someone asked him about the US pundits and what they're saying and everything, and he just lies.
I mean, I've seen all the US stuff, and I'm just sick of it, to be honest. I just am. I mean, I just like all this talk. It's just, let's just wait for the game. Whatever happens, happens. It's just, it's just so much rubbish, honestly.
So he's a bit of a character, a bit of a larrikin. I think today in the press conference, he's talking about being one of Australia's, and there's 11 now World Cup goal scorers, and he's just sitting there in front of everyone, and he's just like, it's a World Cup goal. Like it's pretty sick, eh?
Probably the same feeling the fans get when they see the ball go in. I mean, I seen it go in, and I just, oh my God, I just closed my eyes, and at first I thought I'm going to take my shirt off because I went like that. But then I realised, I don't really want to get a yellow. So then I just ended up going for the classic knee slide.
You've been following this group for years. You've been in camp. I don't think anyone saw the Popovich selection shocks coming. Did you get any sense from the players in the aftermath of the victory how they were reacting with, like from the outside looking in, felt like bombshell selections, but obviously maybe different internally?
Matty Ryan and Jackson Irvine, I don't think they stopped in the mix zone last night. Not because they didn't want to talk to media. I think it just happened that they were walking through while we were busy. So we haven't really heard directly from them. But just judging by their body language during the game, like as the subs are warming up or during the celebrations for the goals, and I don't think they're exactly kicking stones, either of them. They both look absolutely delighted. Look at their social media. I think they're both posting about the win. They're very happy. So it's not like this has caused any sort of ructions in the dressing room, and that's certainly been reflected in some of the players who did talk to the media and what they said. This is just the nature of Tony Popovich coaching. He pulled this move with Matty Ryan in his first game, a really important World Cup qualifier against China. It was a shock then. It was a shock yesterday. As I wrote, though, there's always method to the madness, and he absolutely nailed both of them. Tony Popovic, full credit, a huge risk. People say he's a conservative coach sometimes, tactically. Well, conservative coaches don't make risks like that. But I suppose to him they weren't risks. They were decisions, and they were good decisions because they were based on information that he had, that the rest of us got to see sort of the reflection of last night. Patrick Beach outstanding, and Paul Locon Jr., can't speak highly enough of him. Definitely part of this core of the Socceroos that is going to continue to grow sort of over the next decade.
We've been drawn to Irankunda, we've been drawn to Metcalfe, Patrick Beach also, for obvious reasons, but the defensive unit, Cameron Burgess spoke today.
We train so hard together. We work on all that stuff. It's not a coincidence when we're in sync at times. It's not easy, but we put all that work in the training pitch, and whoever's selected to be out there, we expect that from each other. And ever since the coaching staff, the bosses come in, that's what's sort of been instilled in us, and hopefully we've been able to show that as much as we can. Relentless, tough. As much as we're drawn to the goals, the crew at the back, wow, they look solid and special, Vince.
That's just what they do. Harry Souttar was doing the exact same thing 4 years ago in Qatar, just turning everything away. And this time, instead of Kai Rolls next to him, he had Cameron Burgess, I think the only player to have played every minute in the English Championship this season, an absolute warrior, basically like a left-footed version of Harry Souttar, really. So you got him there. And then Alessandro Ciccardi, probably not quite as combative maybe as you might think of the other two as, he's more of a refined footballer. People call him a Rolls Royce of a defender, but Rolls Royces can get dirty too sometimes if they drive through the mud, and he was throwing everything everywhere. And those three, when you have three central defenders who get down and dirty like that, they're 190 centimetres minimum each. We're talking the upper end of that for Burgess and Souttar. And if you're a team like Turkey and you can't figure out what to do to break down this unit, and you keep putting long balls into the box and crosses and that to your undersized striker when he's surrounded by three giants, what do you think's going to happen? So, worked perfectly for these three guys. The balls were coming in the way they wanted, and they dealt with them like they know how.
It laid at the platform for an incredible tournament. Vince Rugari's covering it all for the Sydney Morning Herald. Vince, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Headlines. Japan and the Netherlands played out maybe the game of the tournament so far. A pulsating 2-2 draw in Dallas. The Samurai Blue waited until the 89th minute to equalise.
Ito with the corner. It's 2-2. It's Ogawa. It's Bedlam here in Dallas. Never write off Japan.
That draw left the door ajar for Sweden or Tunisia to take top spot in Group F, and it was the Swedes running through that gap with a 5-1 victory over the African nation. Earlier, Curacao scored its first ever World Cup goal to level 1-1 with Germany before the heavyweights delivered some telling blows. The Europeans ultimately running out 7-1 victors. They lead Group E from Cote d'Ivoire, who grabbed a thrilling late 1-0 win over Ecuador. And Omar Artan, the Somali referee, who was denied entry to the United States ahead of the World Cup, will be paid his tournament fee in full by FIFA despite not being able to participate for obvious reasons. I'm Patrick Stack. This episode was produced by Poppy Penny. Thanks to SBS for the extra audio used in this episode.